You're listening to the Clean Comedy Podcast with your host, James Creviston.
Hey everybody, it's James. Welcome to the Clean Comedy Podcast. Today, I have a good friend of mine. I have been on her show, Talk is Cheap. She's hilarious. She's funny. I got this little memento from it. It was amazing. Once I talk to you guys and talk to her and you guys learn about her, you're gonna be big fans because I'm already a big fan. So please welcome the very funny, the very talented Rhonda Corey. Rhonda, welcome.
How are you?
Good. So I only met you because Robert G. Lee had talked about you, and it was kind of like a weird mix of things. And then we interacted, and I was like, "Oh, she's amazing! Like hilarious and funny and sweet." Like, and then I was watching your show on YouTube, and I was like, "This is fun." And then Brian Kahatsu talked about you, and I was like, "This is great." He must be on there every other week. I swear he's on your show every other week. Is that right?
Well, let me tell you why. Brian and I, especially during the pandemic, we really bonded. And when I started my show, you know, he's very tech savvy, right? And so I needed some help. And so he helped me. He was on my very, very first show. And so that's why, I mean, I'm super comfortable with him and just, you know, so we're good friends. So I love having him on. It's like he's a very easy guest to have on.
He's an awesome guy. As far as comedy, how long have you been doing comedy? How'd you get started? That kind of stuff. Let's go into your background.
So the funny thing is, I got started in a very strange way. Like I got started doing comedy in churches, right? Like everybody. Yeah. And when I first started comedy, I was paired up with a woman speaker we had a ministry team called Take Two Ministries. And so I would go out and I would open kind of with comedy, and she has kind of a heavy story. So it kind of, you know, break those barriers down a little bit. And then she speaks. And as a matter of fact, which is really funny, is we have something tomorrow together, May 7th. So that's kind of cool. I know this will probably come out way after that, but
yeah.
But we're actually still working together. So even though that I started like that, I don't count that because honestly, I was on stage for my first 4 years, 25 times. So I can't really count that. I don't count those 4 years. Those are pre-comedy years. And, you know, I did some learning and, but I really didn't have any stage time. Right. So I would say in 2017 is when I started, you know, I started getting on stage more and more. And in 2018, you know, kind of took off a little bit. And I think, you know, it helps being a little bit older because you have a lot more to draw from in a way. You know, you might not have the energy or the elasticity in your skin or anything, but you have life experience to draw from.
And so when you started doing the Take Two Ministries, were you pulling from old material, or were you having to build stuff and then get on stage with it on those shows and work it out, you know, kind of little by little, like, or were you going to open mics? Like, how were you working out material that way?
So when I first started, I never had. Oh, okay. You mean after, like when I broke from Take Two?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say broke from, but like when I started going off on my own, I started going to open mics. And I do still have like maybe a couple of my, you know, jokes that I had from way back when, but obviously they're really edited. I also took a comedy course from Rick Roberts.
Okay.
So that was great. That really helped me to write, you know, to learn how to write properly. And I attended the CCA, which is the Christian Comedy Association, which actually I'm getting ready to go to again in June. So, and that's how I actually met Brian Kahatsu.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And so how long of a set are you doing before the lady speaks? Like, what's that show like? Because I'm asking you because here's the funny thing is, my friend David Studebaker and I are going to Alaska to do stand-up in June. and then we spoke to a church, and they want us to do a talk, like stand up, and then like a thoughtful talk. And I'm like, that's not what I don't do that.
Right.
But David does like a talk about like being, Christian in Hollywood and being religious in Hollywood and how that is and how that's affected his career, whatever and stuff. And so it's kind of interesting, but I was like really thrown off. I was like, why would you want us to do stand up and then a talk at church? Like that didn't make, to me, that didn't make sense. Like it's either one or the other, or a band and comedy. I've seen that at church, but the talk and comedy is not really a thing that I've seen at a church setting. I've seen it like at those, like, for women or the for men things that are like breakout things. But how do you deal with that? How do you go with that stuff?
Right. So it is a women's conference that I'm doing.
Okay, there you go.
But let me just explain to you the reason why. The reason why you would do comedy first is, I mean, as you know, of course, right? What comedy does is it really breaks down barriers. You know what I mean? And I think especially like everybody coming in, and it just kind of, it lightens the mood. And so it kind of brings, it obviously brings unity together, right? Because we're all laughing together over circumstances that we maybe relate to or just far-fetched or whatever. But it definitely unifies a group, right? So then when somebody comes up and speaks, they're already at this level. So the speaker actually has, the advantage of already having them here and already with listening ears, because they've already been broken in from, the comedy first.
That's awesome. So you found that easier. Then how much comedy do you do before the speaker? Like, what was it, half an hour, an hour? Like, how much time are you doing usually?
So it varies on, obviously, like tomorrow I'm doing 30 minutes, and I'll probably do 30 minutes like after lunch, because now everybody's kind of, and now I have to bring them all in and together and, kind of, get them like excited, but also together. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it'll also bring everybody in from lunch, because you know how hard that is once everybody disperses, a group disperses, to get everyone back together is not easy. So I'm the reason they're getting back together. I'm bringing everybody back together. Yeah, right.
There. So how did you get into doing that kind of stuff? Like, did the speaker want somebody to warm up and you guys met up? Like, what's that story like? Because that's very interesting. I've reached out to churches about doing stand-up and stuff with them, and then I get a lot of that, like, oh, do you also do a talk? And I was like, I don't do a talk, because I've done stand up at churches before, but it's a weird thing to hear that now more and more. So I'm very interested in that process.
So I actually started, I was on a women's events team.
Okay.
And I started kind of doing skit stuff and that kind of stuff. And then there was a comedy night. And by a comedy night, I mean, like, we used to have a video. So I opened for Tim Hawkins and Shonda Pierce's DVD. Yeah, I was the opener. So because I wanted to try it. And then one night I just did a whole comedy night that was filled with comedy and skits and all kinds of different variety type things. I did the whole thing and had different people in it. It was really fun. We did a lot of different things. And I was just really feeling like I'm supposed to do this. Like, I just really felt like I'm supposed to do this. I had this thing that I did, Women of the Bible, and I would act out the characters. And I know it's crazy, but I did it in a few other churches, and I just felt like I'm being called to do this comedy thing. I just felt it. And my friend Gail, who speaks, was feeling called to speak, and I didn't want to do this by myself. Like, I was scared, she was scared. And so I really feel like God just teamed us up together. Take Two Ministries, there's the name. And so we went out together as a team. I don't know, I was so afraid to try this alone. I don't know if I would have if it wasn't for her. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is awesome. Yeah, because comedy's scary, right? The first time you get up there, you do stand up, you're like, oh my gosh, what is that? Why? I've had so many times, my first year of comedy doing it, there was times where I would get on stage and go perform and be like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it. This is terrifying. And then I'd perform and then I'd get off and I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever done in my entire life. You know, like it was so weird.
Did you have stage fright? Did you have stage fright when you started at all?
No, because I mean I've been doing stuff since I was a kid. Like I was in a dance group, like in the
Oh,
when I was younger, and I sang in Tennessee at Gillies when I was like 13. Like I've
wow.
done stuff, so it's I don't have stage fright, but for some reason I still get nervous every single time I go on stage. It could be, you know, whatever. I just opened for Darren Carter a couple weeks ago, and I had that same feeling, and I'm like, and
Yeah.
there was nothing on me, right? I'm just hosting and doing 10 minutes, no big deal. But the whole time, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. I'm gonna, you know, like I don't know what it is, but then when I'm done, I'm like, this was awesome. So it's, I don't
I
know.
call it like the roller coaster ride, right? I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know if I want to go on this roller coaster. I don't want to go on this
yeah,
roller coaster. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You go on the roller coaster and you come. And as soon as you turn around to come back to where you started, you're like, I want to go again.
yeah, yep,
Right?
yes, 100%. And it's hard to explain that to anybody, but that's a good explanation because they don't get it. People go, "What's it like?" And you're like, "It's like jumping out of an airplane and hoping that your chute opens and that you survive it, right? That because
Mhm.
there's nothing worse than bombing on stage. That is the worst feeling in the world,
Oh,
right?
that's for sure. That's for sure. But then you're like, I think whether you bomb or whether you have a great set, you want to do it again. So when you
Yep,
bomb, you want to go again because you were like, that's it. I need redemption.
yep,
Right. And when you have a great set and just everybody just loved it and you want to do it again because this was awesome. You want that reaction again, right? It's an
yeah,
addiction.
yeah.
Let's be real. It's an addiction.
It is an addiction. It's a me addiction where it's like I want to be the center of attention. I want all the laughs. I want all the fun. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Now when you book, I see you book a lot of stuff. You're all over the place. Do you book that yourself? Do you have a manager, an agent, somebody book you? How does that work for you?
No, I have people that will call me for different gigs, and so yeah, no. Um, the only I did have an agent call me for drybar. That was,
Gotcha.
that I did have somebody reach out, but mostly it's people reaching out either from, word of mouth or my website or I'm on Gig Salad, which is now the Bash. But it's still Gig Salad. Gig Masters. I mean, Gig Masters is the Bash, and there's the Gig Salad too. So, I mean, it could be from any of those resources or.
That's awesome. And
Mhm.
then your show, Talking Sheep, how did that come about? And I think I forgot the episode. You're in the hundreds now, right? Is that right?
Yeah, we just recorded 130. So yep. So it's good. Yep. 131 is our next episode. I know, I can't believe it. So how it came about was I was, COVID, and I was going crazy. And it was so funny because, and I think like anybody else, but I was just starting to get some momentum with my shows and my date book. So I was super excited about that, right? And then of course we all know it happened to all of us. Everything shut down, bam. And now what, right? Everybody's like, what do I do? Like we're used to doing and going, and now we're stuck in the house. What do we have? We have our television, we have our computer. And so, of course, you spend a lot more time on the computer, right? Because you need to connect with people if you're used to connecting with people. And so I saw a few people start some shows, and I'm like, huh. And then I was like, if I had a show, I would do X, Y, and Z. And then I'm like, so what do I have to lose? Just do it. And that's kind of, um, that's kind of how I am. Like I'm afraid, honestly, to do everything. I am. I am fearful to do everything. But my whole thing is just do it afraid. I do it anyway. I'm not going to let fear stop me from doing the things that I want to do. So I just do them afraid. So was I afraid to start the show? Yes. But what did I have to lose, really?
Yeah.
So I started, and I would book. I was doing it twice a week.
Oh, wow.
I was booking 3 guests. So that's 6 guests a week. So that's 24,
Oh my
guests a
gosh.
month. Yeah. So it kept me really busy. I would do a show on Thursday and then turn around and do one on Sunday. And I did that for, let's see, almost a year, I think, almost an entire year. And then in January, things were starting to come back a little bit. And so I said, you know what, I can't keep up this pace. And if things are going to start to come back, comics aren't going to be available on Thursday or Sunday. So I changed the day to Tuesday because that's primarily, unless they're doing corporate gigs or out on a boat somewhere, right?
Yeah.
That's when comics are mostly free. So I changed it to Tuesday nights, and I did it once a week because I never wanted it to be a chore, because I have so much fun with the show, and I do, put a lot into it. It's a
Yeah.
lot. It's booking, and then I like to do sound checks because I like to make sure I'm doing it live. I don't have the advantage of like, well, we can figure this out and we'll record it and pop it on. It's not like that. It's live. So I'm going to try to take any bumps out of the road that I possibly can ahead of time. Plus, I like to meet with my guests, especially if I might not know them that well. I've reached out to people that I really don't know. Maybe they were a referral from somebody, or maybe somebody I've seen and I just admire. And I would just go ahead, do it afraid, and reach out. But I like to get them together because because you played the game, right, James?
Yeah.
I do a game at the end of the show, and I want them to feel comfortable. I'm not there to make them feel stupid or to gotcha. Why would you want to do that to your guests? So
Yeah.
I want to make it something that they have some knowledge about, and so I try to be gracious that way. And so anyway, yeah, I don't know, I went like on
But that's the thing, is you started something because you're like, look, this is an opportunity here to do something unique, and I like it. And also, Rhonda will listen to you if you reach out to her and annoy her enough. She might let you on her show. Like, so that's what happened to me.
That's so funny. No, I do. I actually do. If somebody, I'll go and check them out and, make sure they're legit, and, maybe see who they know that I know. But yeah. But I know I actually kind of sidetracked. The reason was I wanted to have a place. I was looking on Facebook and everything was so negative. Like there was a lot of negativity, and I wanted something fun and positive, right? And I wanted something different than everybody else was doing. I'm not I'm not the best interviewer, so I didn't want to do that kind of interviewing show, because I know what my strengths are, and I know where my weaknesses are, and stick to where you're strong. I know I could just talk about absolutely nothing. I'm good at that. So, and I wanted to give comics a platform, and I wanted to give people who are listening, I wanted to give them an opportunity just to have fun. And to be involved too. I like to involve my audience. I pay attention to my audience. And I think that's important too. Like that matters to me.
That's awesome. So you mentioned drybar, and I know that I know from all my friends and everyone who has one that they don't know when it's coming out, and they keep getting told soon, right? That's what I keep hearing. Soon, soon, soon.
Gonna come out.
Yeah. How was that experience for you? How did you like doing drybar? Tell us a little bit about it, because it's one of those things. It's almost like it's the other version of Netflix, I feel like, and I think it might have a little more power than Netflix right now, because they're so well produced, they're so well done, they're such a great company. I only hear good things about them. How was that experience? Tell us a little bit about your experience with that.
Well, it was exciting and terrifying at the same time, because especially because I hadn't been on stage. And so I didn't have any stage time. So when I was approached, nothing was open. And I wasn't going to go on and do a drybar special when I had no stage time. So I pushed the date. And then the third time I was asked, I was like, I better book this or they're going to stop asking me.
Yep.
And so I booked it. And so I had arranged a few things, but it was still really shut down around here. And then they shut down. So I know this is terrible. I was like, oh, thank God. Like, I was so glad, because then I was able to postpone it, get new dates, and and arrange some stage time. And I have some great friends that helped me out. Brian was one of them, and Mike James, right? And I actually went to beautiful Arizona, and I did some shows there at Stir Crazy. I did a few shows there. And I went all over the place. I went to Gutty's. I went to Michigan. And I did Marlowe. Marlowe Rutz has oh gosh, and my brain just went totally.
It happens.
I know, I'm just going to the basement, but that's not it. I'll think of it in a minute, or I'll actually look it up. But I don't know why that just like evaded my brain. But anyway, so I went there, and then I did a couple of shows. Brian Atkinson and Aaron Sorrells, the clean comedy. What do they call it? I
think it's Clean Comedy Time, isn't it?
Clean Comedy Time. Yes.
Yeah.
Clean Comedy Time. So I did a show with them. And so I was able to get on stage. And I also had something here locally that was like, it was half virtual and half live, because it was still really in the midst of the pandemic. And so when I got to Drybar, at least I had some stage time, under my belt a little bit. And I also had a couple of friends meet me there. June Colson and Michelle Van Dusen, actually, that's good friends. That's good friends. So they met me there. June came and stayed with me. Michelle drove with her husband and made it like a road trip. So they had a little vacation. And so that was cool. Plus I had, I don't know if you are familiar with Andrea Kaspari, but she actually filmed her Drybar the next day. And Haas Ridgway filmed his Drybar with me the same night. Wow. So that was really awesome. So I was very, very fortunate, very blessed, really to have, to be surrounded with people I knew in that, because that's not that's it, but you have an opportunity like that to record a special. You want to be at your absolute best. And so I did have a pretty decent hair day that day. I'm not going to lie. I had a decent hair day, which is big. And it was an excellent experience. They treat you very, they treat you royally there. You get to record 2 sets. So that's fun. Two completely different audiences, which is funny because, they'll react different at your jokes. You've had 2 back-to-back shows where one audience reacts to this joke and they don't react to the other joke. And so, but it was great. It was great. And I've changed a lot of those jokes already. You know what I mean? Because I'm always trying to, make my jokes better. And some of those jokes are going to be the same. And some of them now are, they've progressed. And so I've baked them a little bit more in the oven, so to speak. Right.
Yeah.
So
that's what I did too. Is like, I had the opportunity. I passed it off to someone else because I knew I wasn't ready and I didn't have the time that I needed. And then I rewrote a bunch of jokes, and then I wrote an entire set that I'm working on that I'm taking to Alaska, but I'm going to work on it for the next 3 weeks and then take it to Alaska, do that, and then go on a couple other shows. But it's thematic. I wanted a thematic show. I wanted something that when you saw the title of it, you heard the name of it, you already knew what to expect. And that's what I wanted to do. So I went back and worked on all that stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. I have to point something out that a lot of people would not do that, what you did. And I think that is so smart, is to know when you're ready and to know when you're not, know, and because I think a lot of people will jump the gun and oh, this is a great opportunity, but that's on video forever.
Exactly right.
So,
and that's the thing is, I'm very cognizant about promotional stuff. And that's the weird thing is I have a lot of comedians that reach out to me to say, hey, can you help me with XYZ, my podcast, this thing, that thing? Because I do a lot of that stuff, but I don't want to ever be a manager or an agent, but I get kind of roped into doing those things. So a lot of times I'll refer people to other people and say, hey, this person would be great for this, and this person would be great for this. So I always am doing the networking thing. And someone once said to me, James, you're a connector. That should be your job. You should connect people. And I'm like, how do you even make money connecting people? That doesn't make any sense. Like, but whatever, it is what it is. But if I could
get
help somebody,
that. I get that. That's me. I love connecting people. I
right?
think that is, and not everybody is a connector. I definitely am a connector too. I love to, you know what, you would, you need to meet this person, and because I think that's so important to let's unify people, right? Let's bring people together that can help each other and just bring things up a notch. And I love connecting people. That is my heart. So that's so cool, James. One connector to another.
It's fun, right? It's like you're getting to make something amazing happen. You're like, I know this person and I know this person, and they would be great together. And then you put them together, you're like, I can't wait to see what happens, right? It's almost like it's kind of selfish because you want to get the win out of it, but it's like, I want to see what happens here. I like this. I want to see the sparks. And so my buddy David, I recommended him. I was like, I think he would be perfect. He does this, he does those things. And it worked out, and he has a special. I don't know. Again, we don't know when it's coming out, but that's Drybar. But I'm excited. I worked hard, and I've been working with Robert G. Lee and Brian and a bunch of people on Brian Atkinson and a bunch of other people on that set, just going over it and refining it and working stuff out. And man, it is the hardest I've worked on comedy, because usually I write a joke every day. That's my thing. I don't know about what your process is, but I write a joke every day, and it doesn't matter, good, bad, otherwise. It's just to keep the brain going, or maybe it turns into something. But this is the hardest I've worked on a set, just like over and over, and each line. I feel like Jerry Seinfeld, like, this line, no, do I need this? Okay, no, do I need it? Yes. It was like, oh, it's terrifying.
But it's also rewarding. So it's also exciting. It's so funny. You mentioned Robert G. Lee. So this is how cool this was. When I went to go do the Cubby Hole in Michigan, which is Marlowe's basement. Whoa! I told you I would think about it. Robert G. Lee was headlining the Cubby Hole. So I got to stay there with him. It was us. And we were the ones that went. We drove, I think it was like 2.5 hours and to go do the show with Brian and Aaron.
Okay.
And so we were in the car. So I am with Robert, who of course I think is brilliant. I'm sure so do you, because the man is, right? He's brilliant. And so he's like, let's go over your set. So we went over my set line by line by line, and you know what I love about Robert? He's not fluff. I can't stand fluff. I don't know if it's because I'm brought up in the Northeast here or what, but I don't like fluff. Like, just bottom line, I want to know what it is. And Robert is very much that, you know what I mean? He's very much bottom line. He'll give it to you. He's not gonna, put flowers around it. So he'll like, no, that's not a good line, or no, that's not funny, or that's an A joke. He'll tell you too, if you have something good, he'll let you know that's really funny. That's funny. That's B. You need to bring that up a notch. And so I had, that opportunity too. So God was good to me. He surrounded me with some pretty awesome people.
Yeah. No, and that's exactly right. I didn't know if you ever heard the story of how I met Robert. I did the Clean Comedy Challenge, and Robert was one of the judges. It was my first year. Actually, I hadn't even been doing comedy a full year yet when I did that, just because I wanted the experience.
What year was this? What year?
2016, I believe. It was at the Ice House. So.
Oh wow! Wait.
That's 2016.
I did it in 2017 twice.
Oh.
I did it in 2018. I won in Chicago.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say it was 2016. I did it at the Ice House. It was like my first year in stand-up. And after you do your first set or whatever, they give you notes and stuff or whatever. and Robert tore my jokes apart, right? And I was like, and I left there going, oh, he hates me. Like, he doesn't even like me as a person, as a comedian, in any way, shape, or form. And then I went back and I worked on the jokes and I took his advice and the advice of the other coaches, but his somehow resonated with me more than anybody. And I went back the next night and I did really well. And then we had the second review and he gave me more. No, I still have it on my phone. I recorded it all and and it was much better. And he was like, you did this. It was good listening. You changed this. And he's like,
Yeah.
great job, you know? And I was like, okay, he likes me now. And then I did the third show. And then we got, you know, we talked about it afterwards. He's like, look, you shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have done that. Like, he like was straight up with me. And I was like, I don't know how to feel anymore. Like, I don't know if he likes me or hates me or whatever, but whatever. At least he's honest with me. So I took that at face value. But that's how I always approach him, is that he does like me. I get that. But he also is not going to BS you at all. And
No.
and if you can't take it, don't go to him, because
Right.
he's not going to play.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and see, I appreciate, I really, you know, I'm not going to say it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it hurts a little bit. It hurts.
Yeah, it's a little out, but I like someone who's straightforward and will say, you know, will say how it is rather than, you know, give you a line, you know, because they think you want to hear it. Mm-mm.
Right. Yeah. Well, Rhonda, I appreciate all your time. Is there anything you want to promote? Where can people find you? Where can they see your stuff at? How can they book you? All that stuff. Give us all the deets.
All right, it's pretty easy. It's Rhonda Corey Comedy. I'm on Rhonda Corey Comedy on everything. So it's rhondacoreycomedy.com. And I'm Rhonda Corey Comedy on Facebook and on Instagram and on YouTube. And my show is on Tuesday nights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So, and you can catch the reruns on, you know, on YouTube or also Roku on Creative Motion Network. I also have a special out right now on Spotify. So there's that. And Vimeo, I guess it's on too. So yeah, from Jokey TV. So that's out as well. And yeah, so, and I'd love to connect. So definitely let's connect. That's my whole thing. Let's connect. I love connecting. And thank you for connecting with me. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm so happy. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I'm going to put all of Rhonda's links in the show notes so you guys can check it out. I would go, if I were you, I'd go and watch a couple episodes of Talking Sheep. I'm on an episode. Go watch that episode. It's very funny. The games are interactive. You'll find yourself playing along. And if you do it live, you can play along. So I would encourage everybody to do that. Thank you again, Thank you again, Rhonda. Thank you, everybody. Have a great one, and bye.